There it stood, an unfamiliar black car resting in our driveway like a shadow that didn't belong. The quiet hum of the evening was punctuated only by the soft whisper of wind through the leaves, yet inside of me an emotional tempest raged. My breath caught in my throat, heart thudding wildly against my ribs as if trying to break free. That sleek, foreign vehicle was a stranger in the sacred space of my home, an intrusion I never imagined. The driveway where we had celebrated anniversaries, shared quiet midnights, and planned a life together, now it bore a symbol of an unspoken betrayal. The questions crashed inside my mind like waves battering a fragile shore. Whose was this car? And most painfully of all, what secret did it harbor? I felt a sinking coldness coil in my stomach, spreading like ice down my spine, as though I stood on the edge of a precipice, staring into an abyss that threatened to swallow everything I thought I knew. The night itself seemed to hold its breath with me. Before I continue, I want to ask you something. If you are someone who craves the raw honesty of love and loss told with unflinching honesty of stories that dive deep into the tangled, often painful realities of human hearts, then please hit that subscribe button. Stick with me until the end. This story will grip you, haunt you, and perhaps open some hidden door inside. Her name was Beck. Beck, the woman who had been more than a wife to me. She was the keeper of my secrets, the fire that once warmed the coldest parts of my soul. For 6 years, she had been my anchor and my horizon all at once. We shared the mundane and the magical, from battles over dirty dishes to promises whispered in the dark. But beneath those years lay a quiet fracture, a crack widening slowly until it could no longer be ignored. I remember opening the door that night and finding her slumped in the corner of our worn-out couch. The soft glow of an old lamp haloed her figure, casting long shadows that flickered like ghosts on the walls. Her hands twisted nervously, fingers tugging at a delicate bracelet as if it were the last thread tethering her to sanity. Her eyes, once the color of warm honey and light, now seemed hollow, distant, like endless deserts with no sign of rain. The weight she carried was visible, pressing down on her like an invisible stone. My voice was raw and trembling when I finally broke the silence. Whose car is that outside? Instead, she swallowed the words, letting silence stretch and grow between us like a chasm. That silence was louder than any scream. It bore down on me with such force I thought I might suffocate. I could feel every second stretch endlessly, the air thick with unspoken truth. Just days earlier, Beck and I had been laughing over coffee, planning a weekend escape, painting vivid pictures of sandy beaches and endless sky. Her smile had been bright, alive, so full of hope and love that it still echoed in my mind like a cruel mirage. I had believed in us, in our resilience. Now, that light flickered uncertainly, threatened by shadows I never saw creeping in. Finally, she spoke, but her voice was a broken whisper, fragile like thin glass ready to shatter. I never wanted you to find out like this. Immediately, my world tilted. Those words were a landslide that swept away the foundations I had built my life on. Everything I thought I knew collapsed in an instant. Beck's eyes filled with tears, shimmering with a mixture of regret and unbearable sadness, reflecting a storm of sorrow I could barely comprehend. She confessed there was someone else, a man who had quietly entered her life, whose presence had grown from a distant memory to a consuming reality. This wasn't an accident or a random mistake. It was a complicated, twisted dance of emotions, leaving our story rewritten with jagged and unfamiliar lines. "I never meant to hurt you," she murmured, voice cracking under the weight of her own confession. "But I was invisible. You were busy building your world, and I lost my place in it." The pain of her words struck me like a dagger twisting in my heart. This wasn't just a betrayal of flesh or promises. It was the quiet unraveling of the love I had believed invincible, a love that had dried up in silence, replaced by loneliness and neglect. For a moment, fury invited itself into my soul, raw, screaming fury that wanted to tear everything down. But beneath it, a cold clarity settled like frost. Beck hadn't cheated because she wanted to hurt me. She had been searching, desperately, painfully, for a connection I had failed to maintain. She was not just guilty of betrayal. She was a wounded heart crying out for healing. We sat together in the dim room, the clock ticking away the agonizing hours as we faced the unbearable truth. Words bubbled up only to fall back silenced by tears and regret. There was no quick fix, no easy redemption. But somehow, amidst the wreckage, a fragile thread of hope wove itself between broken hearts, a vow to confront the shards of our shattered trust together. But as the first pale light of dawn slipped through the curtains, cutting across the room like a blade, a different realization dawned on me. The love that had once bound us so tightly was now tangled in pain too deep to overcome simply by staying. Some wounds, I understood, do not fade with time when shared. They demand space and distance to even begin to heal. I rose from the couch, my body heavy with the weight of decision. My voice, when I spoke, was steady but carried a sorrow that sounded like a farewell. Beck, I want you to be happy, even if that happiness is not with me. I will always love what we had, but I cannot live under this shadow any longer. Her face crumpled. Tears spilled from her eyes, unstoppable now, carving wet trails down cheeks marked by exhaustion and remorse. The fortress she had built around her vulnerability fell away, leaving rawness laid bare. Her sobs filled the room, a haunting symphony of sorrow, regret, and shattered dreams. I stepped back from the life we had stitched together, walking away not in bitterness or hatred, but with a quiet, deliberate resolve. My revenge was not in breaking her or dragging her down. It was in freeing both of us. Freeing her to find whatever happiness had slipped through her fingers, free me to reclaim my own peace. Sometimes, the deepest vengeance is simply to let go. With each step away from the home we once shared, the echo of her desperate cries followed me, the painful music of a love undone. But in that farewell, I found strength. Strength not born of anger, but of acceptance. So I ask you, if you found a stranger's car parked in your driveway, if the person you trusted most revealed a pain and betrayal that shook your entire world, what would you do? Would you cling to what remains, or would you find the courage to let go, even if it breaks you? Love is messy. It is shadow and light, joy and bitterness, grace and cruelty. And sometimes its most profound lesson is that true love means wanting the other's happiness, even when it's not beside you. If this story touched something deep inside you, if it made you think about the fragile, painful beauty of love and loss, please like and subscribe. Share your thoughts and your own stories below. Let us find some solace in the shared fragility of the human heart. Remember, some of the truest stories rise from our darkest moments. Until next time, guard your heart fiercely, but never be afraid to open it, and sometimes to let it go.